All right, guys. Really nothing new to add from yesterday. Aaron Banks, calf contusion. He'll be day-to-day this week. And Juwan Jennings, ankle. He'll also be day-to-day. Go ahead.
Hey, Kyle, I realize that, you've seen a lot from Trent Williams through the years, and looked like you had a pretty clean pass block sheet yesterday. Are you even surprised by how he's able to step in and play as well as he did without any training camp?
Yes. It's really tough to do that. It helped watching him for 4 practices. It just, you never know how someone's going to come back when you haven't seen him in that long. But just watching him at that Monday practice and how he was by the Wednesday practice, gave us a good sign that he was going to be all right in the game. We didn't know how his wind was going to be. We knew he was in shape, but football shape's a totally different deal. And I know we went on some long drives, so that got a challenge. That became a challenge for him as we got closer to the end. But I also think being able to run the ball that much also helps too.
How you said last week that Christian's calf injury was similar to the one he suffered in Week 17 last year. Obviously, he didn't play in Week 18, but it was on the injury report for the Packers playoff game. And played well. Do you still think that they're similar? And the reason he didn't play yesterday simply because it's an early season game versus a playoff game back in January.
I believe they're similar. I know it was a calf then, and it's a calf now. You guys could ask Christian more on that. Definitely, I believe if it was a playoff game, he would have played. But when it's not just the calf, it's the Achilles, and the Achilles is tendonitis, and that stuff comes and goes. And when it is acting up, something you got to be very careful about. Christian's very diligent about that stuff, and if it was a playoff game, he made it very clear to me he believed he could go. But when you hear that type of stuff, and it's not a playoff game, and it's week 1, and especially when you're dealing with the lower extremities like that, it was a tough decision, but hearing all the words and stuff, in the long run, it made it easy.
Kyle, after looking at the film, how did you feel like your defensive line performed last night, especially Malik Collins in the middle versus run?
I was really happy with the D-line overall. Malik, I thought, showed up a ton. I was really pumped with him. He flashed a ton, got off blocks, played with a ton of energy, made a number of plays, and that was a hell of a first game for him as a Niner.
And the pressure that Leonard Boyd battle around the edge.
Yeah, they did a great job. We kept them into some good third downs, and I thought both of those fed off each other very well. They played, their conditioning was very good. They were able to go on the first play or the last play the same way they did on the first play. Love how those two pair up, and expect them to get better and better as the year goes.
With Jake Moody in the position that he's in, that's obviously a high-pressure position, how is there a difference going into year 2, not being a rookie who was a high draft pick and now just being the kicker in year 2? How does that change his confidence?
I think just being able to get through his rookie year, being a draft pick and everything, having to replace a guy like Robbie, all eyes are on him to start, going from his first misses in the preseason to the miss versus Cleveland. Like, those are such a big deal when you haven't done it before. But every time that, he got more eyes on him and people are waiting for him to fail, he always rebounded and got through those. And when you do that, you build true confidence and you get stronger through adversity. And I feel like he went through a ton in his first year. And coming into his second year, I forget that he's only a second-year player. He handles himself very well and carries himself like a true veteran now.
What jumped out at you with Brock Purdy and how he diagnosed the Jets defense drive after drive?
Didn't make any mistakes and made a number of plays with the ball. When they did have some pressure and stuff, he was able to get rid of it. When guys weren't real open, he still made some really good tight throws. really only had one ball that he was aggressive on that got close to the defense where I thought they had a chance to pick it. Ultimately, it probably wasn't a great decision, but I could totally see why he did it. And I love that he didn't hesitate and kind of let it rip. And that's kind of how he played the whole game, and only one got close to him. So he played aggressive enough. He played aggressive and played very controlled with a chance for us to win and they not make mistakes. The way that game went, and you get into the second half, and truly felt the only way they could get back into it is if we had a bad turnover. And Brock was very trusting with the football while still making plays.
What was your impression of Dominick Puni last night?
I thought it was a real good first game for him. By no means was it perfect, but it's how he's been every day since he's been here so far. So, I've talked about him a bunch here, and he's been this way in practice. He's been this way in preseason, and it looked the same in week 1. So seems pretty consistent, pretty real about the guy, and that was his first game. He's got to recover here in 6 days, and we'll be playing on the road next week where it'll be much louder and stuff, so there'll be some new challenges, but hopefully he just continues to play the way he is, and you keep doing that, he'll also get better with more experience.
This is a sense among, a lot of people, Forster and players, that Puni is even better than expected, at least at this early stage of his career. Is there anything that you didn't know? I mean, there's a reason you drafted him, obviously, but, is there something you didn't know that he's shown, in a couple of months here with him, that's been revelatory?
Nothing that's going to be real exciting for your question, but it's always tough when you evaluate college because, they always run a different scheme. Just the way people run block and stuff is usually way different than how we're going to ask them to do. You evaluate them at tackle, and we plan on, we know we could play all the positions, but we were drafting them to come in and be a guard. So all those things you're making assumptions on, educated guesses on. So you never truly know, especially with alignment, until you get them here. And so you try to get as much information about the guy as a person, how they are in the games, whether it's too big for them, how much they love football. We evaluate it as much as we can, but there's really not a ton of clips that translate all the time. So there's always a lot of unknown with alignment. So right when we got here, and he got thrown in right away, just to see him kind of do what we hadn't seen, I guess was the best thing right away. We always work with people and people get better, but it was cool to see how natural he was at a lot of things that you didn't see on college tape.
Going back a couple of years, how much did you know about Jordan Mason before he got into the building? And then what did you see initially in either just makeup-wise or skill-wise that helped push him toward the top of the line ahead of a couple of third-round draft picks?
Once backs get here, we really don't care. We watch them run in practice, and where they were drafted or the name on their jersey really doesn't matter to us. We've been committed to running the ball for a while. There's lots of styles that can be successful running the ball, but you better be able to do it a certain way and not mess around with us. And as soon as he got here, he hit the hole every single time. A lot of times when he first got here, he was so used to getting so downhill every play that he missed a number of runs to get outside. And to be able to coach him and him actually get better and not worse was really cool too, because sometimes when you got to coach running backs too much, with the remote in your hand, it kind of takes away their natural instincts. And JP, just to be such a downhill runner, but when the defense gives him the look to go outside, he doesn't really hesitate with it. He takes it. And so that's been really cool with him. And, I didn't see much of him in college. He wasn't a guy that we had real high as a draftable guy. All our coaches and scouts looked through some of the guys who are going to be possible free agents, and he was at the top of our list. And I remember when I heard about him, hearing that he was the backup at his college, and I remember asking, I was like, guys, I know we like this guy, but how is he a backup there at a smaller school? And then I come to find out that the guy that I was head of him was the guy who went in the top 15 picks to Detroit 2 years later after he transferred to Alabama. So I thought that was a pretty good reason to be a backup. But then I know before that, JP, I believe, was a 3-year starter before his senior year. So he did have a hell of a college career. His style has always been like this. And you guys know when he's gotten to preseason, he's been our number 2 back a bunch because, Elijah's struggled with injuries. And every time AP has been like that, he's done a hell of a job. I remember that big run he had versus Seattle. I remember a huge one he came in and went to the house versus Dallas last year too. And this is the first time he got a number of carries, and it's tough to get those in our offense when you got guys like Christian and guys like Devo and stuff. But this was his opportunity, and everyone saw how he did, and that's why it was much easier just to keep feet on the rock.
Take 2 more, guys.
A couple of injury updates. Where are Matos and Talano Bufanga this week?
Huff got to practice a lot last week. We'll continue to work him into that, and he has a chance for this week, but that we'll make that decision until later in the week. So hopefully he has another good week. Christian's day to day with his calf Achilles, E Tour and D Winners. They got a big day today. I'm just seeing how they go. There's a chance they can get back into practice this week, but really not sure till they do the rehab this afternoon.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.